At dawn, the grass is still cold with dew, and a lone male lion walks across the open plain with the unhurried confidence of an animal that has nothing to fear. He is the largest predator on this savanna. Every creature that sees his shadow reacts, freezes, flees, watches from a distance. His roar can be heard for miles. His territory stretches farther than any rival dares to challenge. For most animals here, he is the threat. But right now, something is quietly working against him. Something that doesn't care about his size, his strength, or his reputation. Buried deep in his thick, golden mane, hidden where even his own claws cannot reach, dozens of ticks have made their home. Swollen, dark, feeding steadily on the one animal in this entire ecosystem that nothing else dares to threaten. He shakes his massive head, mane flying, trying to dislodge the itch building at the base of his neck. It does nothing. He rolls onto his back in the dust, twisting and grinding his shoulders against the ground. It barely helps. His mane, the very feature that makes him look powerful, unmistakable, unchallengeable, is also the perfect hiding place for parasites. Thick, dense fur that no claw or tooth can properly search through. Every fold of skin beneath it has become a feeding ground. A full-grown tick, left undisturbed in fur this dense, can swell to the size of a grape before it's ever noticed. He is carrying dozens of them. For a moment, he simply sits, massive paws in front of him, staring out across the grassland. An animal used to being the one who watches, now dealing with something he cannot see, cannot fight, cannot outrun. Nearby, a small herd of buffalo grazes peacefully, entirely unafraid, sensing something is different about him today. Even his own pride, resting under a nearby tree, keeps a slight, careful distance while he works through his discomfort alone. Kings, it turns out, get itchy too. Then, a sound, a soft chatter, rising from the branches of an acacia tree nearby. A small flock of red-billed oxpeckers lifts off together, wings catching the early light, turning as one and flying low across the grass, directly toward him. These birds have learned something the rest of the savanna hasn't fully understood. A lion's mane, feared by every other animal, is simply one more feeding ground to them, thick, parasite-rich, and almost never cleaned. He hears them coming. His ears flick toward the sound, muscles tensing instinctively, an old reflex triggered by anything approaching quickly. Then he recognizes the shape of small wings, and the tension eases. The first oxpecker lands directly on his shoulder, claws gripping into the thick mane with practiced confidence. It doesn't hesitate for a second. Most animals hesitate before landing on a lion. This one does not. Its beak goes to work immediately, parting the dense golden fur to reveal a cluster of engorged ticks hidden deep against his skin. A second bird lands near the base of his neck. A third settles just behind his ear. Within moments, an entire small team has claimed different sections of the most feared animal on the plain. He doesn't growl, he doesn't flinch. He simply lowers his enormous head slightly, eyes half closing, and lets it happen. Watch closely now, because this is the part almost nobody ever sees. The oxpecker at his shoulder finds its first target, a tick swollen dark red, buried deep in the thick mane where sunlight barely reaches. The bird angles its head, beak sliding through layers of fur, and pulls. It takes real effort. The tick resists, gripping tightly into his skin. The bird braces its feet against him, pulling again, and finally the parasite releases. The oxpecker swallows it whole and immediately returns, searching for the next one. There are always more. Near the base of his neck, a second bird has found something remarkable. A dense cluster where the mane grows thickest, 6 or 7 ticks packed together in a space the lion himself could never have found on his own. The oxpecker works through them steadily, one at a time, plucking each free with a small, precise motion, before swallowing and moving to the next. Behind his ear, a third bird discovers the largest tick of them all. Fully engorged, swollen to the size of a small grape, dark and taut against his golden skin. The oxpecker studies it for a moment, then clamps down and pulls with real effort, wings bracing for leverage. The tick holds on stubbornly, but after several seconds of steady pressure, it finally releases. The bird swallows it in one motion. More oxpeckers arrive now, drawn in by the easy feeding on a body large enough for all of them. 5 birds move across his mane and shoulders in near-perfect coordination, each working their own section of parasite-rich fur. The lion remains almost completely still. An animal capable of taking down a buffalo with a single strike now lies motionless, entirely at the mercy of creatures that weigh less than his own paw. Nearby, one of the lionesses watches from a distance, and for the first time all morning, she seems to relax completely, recognizing exactly what is happening. Minutes pass. The birds continue their careful work, moving section by section through his thick mane, finding cluster after cluster hidden deep in fur no other animal could search through. Skin that was buried beneath dark, swollen parasites gradually reappears. One tick after another disappears into a red beak. The very feature that makes him look untouchable is finally being cleared, piece by piece, by animals a fraction of his size. 20 minutes in, one of the oxpeckers finds a final stubborn cluster hidden at the very back of his mane, a spot even he could never have reached. It works patiently, pulling free 3 more engorged ticks in quick succession before lifting its head. There is nothing left to find. The lion exhales, a long, deep breath that seems to release tension he had carried for days. He shakes his massive head once, mane flaring dramatically in the morning light, and this time the motion looks entirely different. Not frustration. Relief. He rises slowly, and for a moment stands at his full, imposing height, golden mane catching the sun, looking every bit the king this savanna knows him to be. 2 oxpeckers remain perched on his shoulders as he begins to walk, riding calmly, occasionally pecking at some final speck, too small to notice from a distance. He moves toward his pride, and this time there is no careful distance. The lionesses approach freely, and one of the cubs bounds up beside him, unbothered, sensing nothing but calm. He lies down among them, and for the first time all morning, truly rests. Across the plain, the buffalo continue grazing undisturbed. The oxpeckers that cleaned him are already lifting off again, moving toward the next animal that needs their help, indifferent to size, indifferent to reputation. To them, a king and a warthog are the same, just another body that needs cleaning. The sun climbs higher, and the savanna settles into its familiar rhythm. Zebras graze in the distance, giraffes move slowly between acacia trees, and somewhere among the golden grass, the most feared animal on this entire plain sleeps peacefully, completely clean, completely at peace. This is the savanna. Even kings need help sometimes, and out here, help always comes on the smallest wings.